What's going on, disruptive community? This is another episode of Disruptive Culture. I am Channing Cohens. Listen, I thank you guys so much for being here. I am very appreciative of the time that we spend together. I'm very excited for this episode today. You know what? If you're just stumbling upon this, if you've seen it in your search algorithm because you were searching for something totally different, let me tell you a quick piece about what this podcast is and what you get out of this. Our motto here is we help build the person as the person builds the dream. What does that mean? We make every effort to help people achieve their vision, achieve their purpose, achieve their calling in life, and maximize their potential. We do this in 4 ways. We like to focus on 4 key areas of life that in leveling up in those areas. It's spiritual intelligence. We like to call it emotional intelligence, relational intelligence, and leadership intelligence. Because if you can't lead yourself in the relationships you have, based off the emotions you have, guiding yourself with spiritual principles, then no other area of your life will be completely whole and fulfilled. And we believe that focusing on these 4 areas gives you that maximum life that you've been really, really looking for and searching for, because it guides you in a way where other areas of your life seem and can be simplified, honestly. And this is something that I love to teach. I love to dive into because we can always use growth. We can always be better. This life is a continual process of just becoming a better version of yourself. So in this episode, specifically, what we're doing is we're diving back into emotional intelligence. And we believe that emotionally intelligent people discern and pick up on things in different ways as you increase and maximize your emotions. What we're going to be talking about today is triggers. And how triggers really, triggers are a triggering word. Because we all have them. We all deal with triggers. We all deal with certain levels. So we're going to go through a couple of them and see how, even though it's been taught that they are self-sabotaging and they hold you back, we're going to talk about how to deal with them and what they actually could be telling you. And ultimately, we're going to deal with the trigger and we're going to deal with the shadow side of the trigger. So I'm just going to briefly go through a couple of them, and we're going to see what we can come out with. So the first one that we're going to deal with is anger. Anger is a trigger, and what that trigger is telling us is where our boundaries are, what the limits that we've reached, and what we need to do to take an action or to transform in our lives. So it gives us a barometer on how much we're going to take at a certain point in time, and the necessary changes that need to be made. Now, the shadow side of that is aggression. Now, when you don't deal with anger, you bottle it up and you deal with aggression by taking it out on other people. You deal with it in a way where you're not dealing with the anger, but you're reacting in a way where you're dealing with people based off the anger that you feel. And that is the negative side of it. So deal with the anger. Don't lead into aggression. Now, the next one is sadness. Sadness is a correct response to something that we've lost of value. Whenever we've lost something of value that's near and dear to our hearts, we grieve over it. We're sad about it. A relationship, a lost job, a home, things that are of value, loved ones. And it can come in waves. It can come in at unexpected times. But it's okay because you need to go through it to get over it. Now, that's just something we have to deal with just in life. Now, guilt is a trigger based upon something that we didn't do far more than what we did. So, guilt always deals with the thing that we wish we should have done. Man, I wish I would have did that better. I wish I would have said that better. And the fact that you feel guilty about an action or inaction that you didn't take shows that you are in touch with your humanity. It shows that you actually have a heart. And it's just something that you feel terrible about that happened. Now, the shadow side of that is when you feel guilty all the time. When it's a chronic state of guiltiness. And that can be traced back to childhood. For always feeling like you were inconveniencing someone, disturbing someone, or being a burden to somebody. And we self-project that onto, or in our adulthood, on the community around us. Feeling like we always have to apologize for being who we are versus something that we did. And we have to deal with feeling guilty all the time before you can grow and analyze that there are just some aspects that we can feel guilty about something that just didn't happen. Or something that did happen and it didn't happen in the manner that we would have liked to. And the best way to deal with the thought of guilt on something that didn't happen is just simply to correct the behavior or acknowledge that the behavior was made or the issue was made, apologize, and move forward. There's really no other way to deal with guilt. It's just that simple. Acknowledge it, apologize, change the behavior. We deal with that a lot in society, where feeling like we're a burden to somebody, and we withhold who we are, and we withhold showing up to people because we feel like we're that burden, and we have gifts, we have talents, we have the ability to actually show our true selves, but because we feel guilty all the time, and that guilt was carried over from childhood, from feeling like our creativity was too much, our singing was too much, our building stuff was too much, to the person at that time that was dealing with us in our childhood, we take that subconsciously into other relationships in our lives, and we project that, and we hold ourselves back far more than other people do. So let's really deal with guilt for something that happened or didn't happen versus feeling guilty all the time because of who you are. Now, the next one is embarrassment. And embarrassment is, there's always something that you can be embarrassed about. And that just comes when we behave in a way that we know we're not proud of. Oh, I'm embarrassed because I didn't do that right. And I'm not proud of it. I know I should have done that better. It's very similar to guilt, but they're ultimately like twins. The best way to not be embarrassed is when we judge our situation, analyze it for where we're at in the present moment in time, and say, you know what areas of my life that are not being maximized, and how can I maximize them? By using what's available to me in the moment with what I have. That's doing the most with what you have. And the thing is, once we start doing that, you know what? I'm at this job. I'm at this situation. I'm at this point in my life. And this is the most information I have at this present moment in time, and I'm going to do the most with it while I have it. Once you do that, people may judge you, they may criticize what you're doing, but you know what? You're going to see that you're going to start moving from embarrassment into confidence, because you're doing your absolutely best. You're doing the best you can with what you have at the moment in time. And that's going to subside any negative talk about you at any moment in time, because you're now building confidence in yourself. When we don't process that embarrassment properly, it leads to another point that I want to share, which is the shadow side of that, which is shame. Shame says that I'm not embarrassed about what happened and how I could have done it better. Shame tells you I am a bad person, and what is happening to me makes me a bad person. And when we sit in shame, when we move from the area of embarrassment to shame, we begin to not condemn what happened, but condemn ourselves. And we stay in that area and we say, no one could ever love me. No one could ever see me for who I really am, because of not what happened, but because of who I am. And that's just simply not true. And we should never be in a place where shame consumes us and controls us to a point to where we never take action on anything. And to get to the root of shame, being bad, feeling the overwhelming feeling of I am a bad person versus I've done a bad thing, will never get to a point to where we're actually releasing ourselves and giving ourselves permission to grow in our lives. So there's a difference between being embarrassed about what you did and feeling shame about who you are. The next one that I want to deal with, and I'm just knocking these out, and you can re-listen to this again. The next one I want to deal with is jealousy. We've all felt jealous at some point in time. We're not proud of it. We don't really wear it as a badge of honor, but it does happen. You are human. You're going to deal with jealousy. And jealousy is twofold. It's anger and condemnation, right? It's anger because we see what other people are doing. And then it's condemning what they're doing with what they have available to them. Also, simultaneously, it is saying to us, what we're not reading with jealousy is we're saying, you know what? I should be doing better. Because if you're doing the absolute best with what you have and you're maximizing every opportunity that you have, you'll find that you won't be jealous so much of other people, but you'll shift from jealousy to being inspired by other people. Hey, how do you do that? How does that thing go? How do you start seeing people as inspiration. You'll start seeing it as a challenge of, ooh, I can get more out of myself. I can grow more. And it becomes a game with you. But when you're just sitting here and you're not taking any massive action on anything, you have the luxury of sitting back and being jealous by condemning other people for what they're doing. Now, the shadow side of that is resentment. That is the condemnation. That is, I'm not jealous of what you have or who you are, but I resent you for even trying. I resent you for even having the audacity to become something that you yourself believe you can be, that I have not taken a bold step to become myself. And when we get into condemnation, we'll always see a problem with everyone else's success in their ability to transform their life. And as a consequence of that, we'll always see an issue with success. We'll always see an issue with stepping out of your comfort zone, because we're always associating being disliked with being successful at a thing. And therefore, we trap ourselves by these rules that we've made up, where we associate being known for something, achieving something, with being disliked. And that's where resentment comes in. So being jealous shows you the yardstick where you can improve to be something, and it's showing you that it's okay to acknowledge that here's where I am, but I know I have room to grow to this person. Or at least, maybe I don't know if I'll become that, but at least I'll work to achieve something more than what I have. By getting more information, by reaching out, by doing a number of things, and you'll start seeing jealousy subside, and it will never reach the point of resentment. When we another side of resentment is when we put our faith in an idea of who people are, what we've created them to be in our mind, that they are under no obligation to be to us or just in general. And now we get to a point to where we project onto them something that we've created that we have not seen them become, have no idea that they can even become, or if they even had any intentions on becoming that thing that we've created in our mind. And because of that, we start to resent them for not being who we thought they should be. But the way to do that is to take people at face value, let them show you who they are, and act accordingly. Another one I want to deal with is chronic fear. People who are deal with chronic fear, meaning those people who are always in a state of stress, distress, and frustration, what you're really dealing with is the root cause of that is control. Looking to control everything around you. Control everything around you, or the belief that you can control everything around you, only signals that you're not okay with change, you're not okay with twists and turns in life, and you don't know how you will react. And now that ultimately has been always traced back to childhood, where you've always been in uncertain circumstances, where you were not able to predict the outcome. There wasn't a routine in place, and things were always shifting and changing. So you're always now willing to control the situation so that now you can feel and be in a place of safety. But when it turns into chronic fear, the only way to go and deal with that chronic fear is to know that I can only control a set number of circumstances in my life. And everything outside of that, whatever happens, happens. I'm not in control of that. For instance, I'm in control of who I vote for if you decide to vote. I'm not in control of who wins. So if it happens, it happens. But it's not going to determine what I've set out to do. So these are certain triggers that we've all had to deal with, that we've all passed through. And these are internal indicators, far more than anything outside indicates to us. We have these internal indicators that show us, you know what, I need to deal with that. But before I do, what is it telling me? And this is just a brief synopsis of what some triggers are telling you. What some triggers are there to show you as an internal guide to what you really actually want out of life. Simply gossip and judging people. The trouble with gossiping or judging other people is that, we set up barriers to our own success when we do that. When we see other people who are doing better than what we're doing, then we find ways to try to justify why we're not doing it. So we're judging people. We dealt with that. Judgment, condemnation, is being angry that they allow themselves to do it, but also feeling angry because I'm not giving myself permission to step out of my comfort zone. And again, when we do that, when we gossip, when we judge what other people are doing, we're setting up rules for ourselves to play by. And those rules that we have to play by keep us in a container where we're too afraid to step out of that container. We're too scared to step out of that comfort zone for fear that, like I said before, the judgment, the gossiping will happen to us because we've trained ourselves to associate any level of success, any level of achievement with being disliked, when that's simply not the case. So ultimately, my conclusion here and what you should get out of this is take every single step forward in massive action that's going to get you closer to the life that you want, in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone. Do it afraid. Do it knowing that you're going to be judged, but it's okay. Because no judgment can stand up to a person who's doing the absolute best with what they have at the present moment. Because when you do that, you gain more confidence in what you're doing than what the outside detractors are saying about you. And if you keep doing it long enough, those people who were once judging you, those people who were once condemning you, will start coming to you for inspiration and advice. So keep going. That's what it means to be disruptive. It means that you're going to be in places and spaces where it feels uncomfortable, but you have to keep going. And that's okay. That's okay. So I know we dealt with a heavy topic. I know we dealt with things and triggers that made you feel a certain way. But my goal, my only goal, is to help build the person as the person builds a dream, simply because I believe in you. I believe in your forward motion. I believe that we can achieve far more together than we could ever do apart. And I believe that when we start dealing with these things little by little, over a period of time, collectively we create a culture that can ultimately change the world.
I hope you like, share, and subscribe. Join us on this journey. I believe it'll be fun, it'll be entertaining, and most of all, it'll be impactful. All right? Talk to you later. Bye.